Okay, guys. So I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Uh, my name is Dwal Arjun, leader of the UPSS Union Party of South Sudan, and right now I'm live on YouTube and on StreamYard and on Facebook. And just would like you first of all to share this, uh, share it to all, so that at least anyone who is listening right now and those who will come to listen to it later on. My topic today is about the ongoing national dialogue, the national dialogue in South Sudan. I just wanted to discuss it and to analyze it uh, about the actually its effect on the people and the whole process about national dialogue. So first of all, I wanted to actually to just uh, bring the overview of this national dialogue. What is it? What is it? So when we talk of national dialogue, we are really talking about, simply we are talking about a negotiation table on national issues. So national dialogue is actually a discussion about critical issues, especially maybe that actually affect people either during the war or after the war. Now, national dialogue can actually be a negotiation in which burning issues are actually addressed. It can also be actually a situation, a peace talk where critical issues that has actually not been addressed in war can also be addressed. National issues is usually, the word national means geographical, is inclusive. So national dialogue can really be inclusive. It always should be an inclusive talk. That means people can be included regionally, people who have different view, political party, other people who have actually made up the whole country actually are can really be actually included in the talk, and that's why it's called a national dialogue. Now, in specific with our national dialogue in South Sudan, the one just has been discussed for the last 2 weeks. I think is not meeting the actually the standard of a national dialogue, because actually it's actually is very biased, and I think it's just a trap that those who are organizing it, they just actually they are another way, actually they wanted to provoke the war again, so that the war can be fought in the region. It is a trap, and because it's really very inclusive, people are not included in this national dialogue. A lot of political parties are not included. So many regional bodies, organization, non-profit organization, civil organization, youth, women, and even the internal refugees who are in the country, leave about the people who are abroad. So it's really very, if you look at it, it's really a one-party dialogue. Yes, that is the SPLM. It's just the SPLM dialogue. It doesn't actually include all uh, other political parties, even people who are outside. So I think it's just another way we can just say is just a declaration of the war, because if you look at it, it's like confirming issues that has actually been putting people into the war are actually being kind of being discussed and being confirmed and approved again. And that is really, I think, is going to make people to be really very angry in the country. So that's why I say this kind of national dialogue is really is a trap to war. And SPLM leaders should really understand this, because even if you look at it, for example, they are restating the 32 state, which was actually the issue that has put the country into the war in 2016. It was 28, now it's 32, and they wanted to bring back a confirmation of the resolution of this, the national dialogue. They say that they wanted to bring back 32 states. So for me, I think this kind of national dialogue is actually is a provoke. It is going to provoke a tribal war again, and a tribal war is likely to erupt simply maybe from country outside the city or maybe in the state before it actually reach to the capital, because this is the way this national dialogue is being set up is not the way actually all the national dialogue are actually run in any country. So if you look at it, you see SPLAIG, which is a regime, Salva Kiir regime. They look at this one is like to maintain the strong issues of the SPLM to actually stay in power, and that's what they. But that's not a national dialogue. You don't confirm or approve your stand, because it will make a lot of people actually to build negatively in the country. And if you look at the SPLMIO has already rejected it even in Europe, simply because SPLMIO, they are focusing on power sharing, and they wanted issues that actually will support power sharing. That is really very dangerous. If you see these two parties, they are not actually for a national dialogue. They are not ready for national dialogue. Even the issues that were discussed, these are not the issue of national dialogue. And so the issue that were discussed, they are actually irrelevant. They should not be discussed in any national dialogue for South Sudan. And also the time, a national dialogue actually should have a good time for discussing it, because if you look at the national dialogue, most of successful national dialogue, you have a conflict resolution ideas, and you have a conflict. People have to resolve the war first. You have to analyze the war and maybe have a ceasefire. After the ceasefire is when we talk of implementation, even before national dialogue. So when we talk of implementation, we are talking about stopping the war and maybe stopping more argument. That means, which is not the case right now, because there's a lot of things. People are still arguing on the issue of appointment, establishing the government, and all that. There's a lot of issue going on. So actually, it's like argument and war is really not being stopped, and that is really a very worrying, because you cannot start national dialogue when people are actually have not stopped hostility. That is really very, very dangerous. So it's like people are provoking the war here. And when you implement, because in implementation mean that we are stopping war and we are actually putting peace in place so that we can have environment to manage. So in management, in managing the war or conflict is when we talk of national dialogue, which is the last. So the first thing should come is implementation of the ceasefire and implementation of maybe secure arrangement, thing like that. So the issues actually they were forgetting to discuss here, I think most of the critical issues that need to be discussed in the national dialogue for South Sudan, there should be tribalism, number one, that they did not even touch about it. And the reason I say tribalism is more important in national dialogue is because tribalism is the one that caused the tribal war in South Sudan. So if we have to have in future, we have to have a national dialogue. We have to discuss about tribalism. We need to discuss about democracy, which is the way how people actually can govern themselves, or the ideas about the government. What kind of government is it? Because the government right now is a tribal government, and people need to talk about democracy, where the tribal government is actually going to continue be the model in our country. And we need to talk about term limit of the government. We need to talk about the governance itself, the rule of law. Those are the things that should people be talking about. And the other thing is the system of the government. But system of government, they're talking about federal. I don't think South Sudan is ready, can be in form of federalism, because South Sudan is actually is a sort of like it come emerging from what we call a junta. These are the revolutionary soldiers or commanders. And with these, I think the only model will be good is a parliamentary system. So I think parliamentary system will be great, because these people, whether we put federal system, they're not going to have election. They're not going to even be election is not going to benefit them. So the only thing they can do is that if they elect their own state, and then maybe the parliament will come and elect the president or head of prime minister, the head of the state, and that will, so that the election actually will not actually be a problem to the people in the region. Usually, you will have just only elect your MPs, and the MP, they can handle everything in the national government. So I think uh, parliamentary system will be the system that will suit the South Sudan. But they did not talk about that, because they know now, they are just worried about being in power, and that's the problem. So they did not address the peace process. Peace process, that is peace process itself. The peace is based on addressing the tribal issues, like the issues of grabbing the land of another people, and issues of, for example, the Shuluk, they have issue of land, issues, grievances between the Denga and the Shuluk, the border crisis between the Nuer and those of Denka of Warab, and then the issue of land grabbing in Equatoria, the Murle cattle crisis in Jongle, a lot of problems that are left out, they did not address. So that means uh, actually avoiding these critical issues is actually another way of going back to war. Because if you focus on implementing 32 state, then that means that you are calling for more war, and tribal war, and tribal militia will be ready to arm themselves in the region, and problem will actually be more. So the other issue was the human right issue, the human right abuse. They never talk about this. They never touch it, because they know sometimes if you talk of human right abuse, then there are responsibility has to be, and thing that has to be addressed. So this issue, they did not touch it. So because politicians in South Sudan are not given space even to express themselves. It's very hard, and that's why they did not wanted to touch it, and they wanted to actually to exploit the freedom of people, freedom of those people who have ideology to change the country. And the other thing is that many people who are arrested for actually no reason at all, no charges, are still in detention. And these are human rights issues. Those are things that need to be put on the table in what we call a national dialogue. But this kind of national dialogue, I don't know actually how it's going to take us, where actually it's going to take us. The other thing is the security arrangement. Forces are not, there is no unified forces right now. That's why IDPs are still in UN camp, and they are fearing to get out. So it's really very hard, and you cannot implement peace actually when things are actually not addressed. And in my opinion, I think the problem, this kind of dialogue they have just called is not actually is not going to work, and actually is going to fail. I will say that simply because it did not address the root cause of the war. It did not address the critical issues that we expect. It doesn't address national issues, and instead they are just calling to restate the what we call the tribal. I call them the tribal state, which is 32 state, and they know 32 state issue has brought people to war. So that means if they approve it again, it means that people will go to war again. So that is the problem of I think the problem of this kind of national dialogue. And I think my message to our people in South Sudan, across South Sudan, is that all the party, this, if we have to have a national dialogue, first of all we have to have, national dialogue come in a process. It does not just come just like that. We have to have a conflict resolution. That means we have to actually resolve the war. So when we resolve the war, that means we have to address the root cause of the war, and then analyze the war and actually put a ceasefire to the war. Then we come and implement. And in the implementation is when we stop. We stop more discussion or about the war, and we actually implement the peace. So peace means that we have to stop the argument. Actually, we have to stop discussion. We have to stop confrontation against parties or against rival group. So that is the problem. Why we if we don't we skip a stages, those stages, then we're going to have a problem. So when we go to management, where we have stopped those things, we go to managing the conflict, is when we can see now in the management, we can now bring in the national dialogue, because we have already have peace, so national dialogue will be inclusive and people will participate, all the politician, the citizen, civil servant, and a lot of will freely express their issues, their grievances. That is where national dialogue will actually make sense. So I think parties need actually to first implement the peace, so that actually we can, and parties need, if there is national dialogue later on, we need to include all the party. And what my message is that the SPLM party leaders actually need to actually refrain from this focusing on tribal war all the time, and approving tribal state. That will take us back to war. We don't need such kind of thing. So I heard the people of South Sudan this time to stick actually to kind of be focusing and seeking truthful mean of bringing peace in the country. That means we have to address the root cause of the conflict. So my actually, I'm urging, my appeal to all the people is that we have to address the root cause of the conflict by following the step professional way of addressing the conflict in our country. So thank you very much. I just wanted to just bring to your attention this kind of national dialogue is going to fail. That is not an effective one. So thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thank you for those who are. Please share it if you get it, so that I'll share it on your Facebook, everywhere that you can, social media. And thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye now.